Here we go.
Oh yeah. All right, let's hit it.
All right, let's see. We are live.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the No Script Podcast. And today we have a very, very special guest. And I actually wrote out an intro that I spent a little time in the car practicing, so get my throat a little bit ready. You ready for this?
Oh boy. And now, introducing a four-time Emmy Award-winning interview champion of the world, standing a remarkable 5'10" off the ground with shoes on. Please welcome Chris Van Vliet. Wow, pyro, flames, explosions. Whoa, incredible. Woo! And his opponent, Nalbandi. Can you just follow me around everywhere? Right? That was incredible. My goodness. If the monster truck people hear this, you're going to get a job like announcing monster truck.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
I actually tried to get into like the influencer fighting scene, not as a fighter, but as an announcer.
Well, have they seen this? Once they see this, my goodness, you're going to be announcing the next Jake Paul fight.
Oh, that would be great.
Wouldn't it?
Imagine you walking to like Chipotle, you order, they're like, can we get a name? You turn to me, I'm like,
that's a good bit. That's a good bit. We got to get a wrestling person to make this a TikTok for you.
That's kind of good.
That's good.
Now, do they do this in WWE? Or is this more of like a UFC kind of deal?
No. It's well, look, nobody does it better, I think, than Bruce Buffer.
Right.
You know, the energy that he brings to it. It's time. It's so good.
Right.
Oh. But in WWE, yes, there's the legendary Howard Finkel. He's kind of the GOAT. He recently passed away, but like I feel like there's been so many other great ring announcers since, and there's a few right now that are so good. Like it's the weight, it's the hometown, it's the nickname, and then it's the Undertaker.
That was better than me.
Now my voice. Now I can't talk. We got some water here.
The rest of it. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming. I was really looking forward to this one. So,
dude, and congratulations to you. Your rise and the amount of subscribers that you have is mind blowing.
Thank you.
Like, there's a lot of people that the goal's 1,000 subscribers. There's 10,000 subscribers. You just blew all that out of the water. They're like, a million, no big deal.
I mean, I think it's also a little bit of like pressure. Now I'm like, I kind of want to like try this or try that, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, damn, this came so fast with this. I'm like, can I branch out? Can I try this?
Yeah,
and it's like we were talking about before, there's a lot of goals you set. I don't even think I had the time to even set a goal. It just kind of all happened. And now I'm trying to like understand what I want to be as a creator, where I want to go, what my goals are, this, that. So it's like,
and I feel like it's going to change and evolve. Like you're really just getting started. So who knows what your path's going to look like in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years,
Yeah.
But I can tell you, I want one of those that's behind you right there.
I got to keep my eye on it before
Size
you
of
grab
that
it,
thing.
huh? Yeah.
Can I scratch your name off and Sharpie mine on?
You know what's funny? My silver plaque, I don't know if you saw it, the A and the N came off.
I did see that. They'll send you a new one, right?
Really?
You probably have to pay for it, but they will send you a new one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. I can get one with your name on it. I'll get one of these with your name on it. Send it to me.
Could you? I think it has to. You can only do a channel name, right? And they actually like cross-reference, like, actually, Chris Van Vliet's channel doesn't have 1 million subscribers. Sorry.
Cool. Well, I wanted to talk about you as opposed to Armand. You recently had a kid, which is like something I want to like dive into right off the bat. If that's something you're open to talking about. Of course,
yeah.
And I just wanted to know like what it's like being a dad. And I have a couple of series of questions I want to ask in regards to that.
So in all seriousness, it is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me in my life. It is my greatest accomplishment. Not like I didn't do much other than, I showed up that day and,
What'd you do?
Well, when a mommy and a daddy love each other,
Yep.
very much. But it is truly like it's the greatest thing. And it's funny. I see the world now through her eyes because, you think of a child, they're so innocent and everything that they're seeing it for the very first time. And now I'm seeing just the littlest things. We were on a plane yesterday flying back here from New York, and she's looking out the window and like has this big, like goofy smile on her face. And I'm like, just incredible, you know?
Yeah.
And it's actually allowed me to see the world through a completely different lens. And I love it.
And you've traveled a lot with her, correct?
Yeah, she's already been on 4 flights.
Yeah,
and
Armand
she's
was telling me.
3.5 months old.
It's funny, we were making a comment because Armand doesn't drive, right? I was like, she's probably been on more flights than he's been in cars.
How do you get her? Do you run places?
He buses here.
Bus.
Yeah.
Armand's on that grind.
Oh my gosh.
I don't own a vehicle.
This is the worst city for buses too. Like if you were busing or training in New York, totally fine. But in LA, do you wait like an hour for the bus to come?
It's honestly because I live in Koreatown and I just have to commute to Hollywood.
Oh wow.
I will say this though, it's pretty convenient in the way that there's so many ways it goes. Because I was like, hey bro, sorry, I can't do today. I'll be in North Hollywood. He's like, it's okay, my bus stops there. I'm like, where does your bus not stop? Dude?
You know, I had a friend who had lived here for years, like 10 years or something, and just recently found out there's a subway that like picks you up, like a subway system.
I was thinking like the
You know,
restaurant. I was
you know,
like, I've
of
known
course,
that.
yeah, everyone gets a sandwich. No, but like there at Hollywood and Highland, there's a subway stop.
Really?
It's what I'm talking about.
Underground or something?
Yeah, you go down an escalator. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
I've only really?
Yeah, I know, right?
It's a Chinese thing.
Yes, right next to TCL.
What?
Yes.
No way.
This is what I'm talking. This is my exact point because, like, when you live in New York City, everybody takes the
That's
train.
all you take, right?
Right, exactly. You take the subway everywhere. Here, you so rarely ever would even think to take it. That it being in the most tourist spot in the city, it's literally right there next to where like Spider-Man and Jack Sparrow are. Yeah, go down this escalator.
Holy shit! I did
Yeah,
not
that
know that.
crazy.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I mean, if I need to get anywhere, I know. So let's go back to talking about you having a kid. You got some advice from The Rock, which is an interview Armand and I saw.
Yeah.
Where he gave you advice. Is that any advice that you took and did it help?
Yes. And quick backstory on that.
Yeah.
I've interviewed The Rock 10 times now. Not that I'm counting or anything.
He has like a tattoo of like a number.
Well, yeah, it's like Roman numerals. I always joke about that, but I was about to interview him for Black Adam, and we had just found out that my wife was pregnant. She's my fiance at the time. We just found out that Rachel was pregnant, and I said to her, I kind of want to ask for advice from The Rock about being a dad. But like, is that okay with you? Like, we haven't even told our parents yet. And the idea,
Damn.
the idea that we're going to tell The Rock before we tell our parents, like, are you okay with that? She's like, yeah, of course. Like, you're never going to get this opportunity again. And I'm like, of course we'll sit on the news until after everybody's been told, and then we'll put it out, right? And she's like, yeah. But like, yes, 100%. So my wife was so cool and be like, yes, take this moment, share this moment with The Rock. And honestly, I was going in there expecting him to just be like, oh man, like, quick little 10 seconds of advice. Like, oh, just make sure to throw the diapers out right away. Something like that.
Yeah.
He turned it into this like 2-minute, extremely thought out, extremely personal moment. And I hadn't said the words out loud yet that I was going to be a dad until I said it to him. And you can see I start to get a little choked up as I'm like, oh, I'm about to be a father. And in that moment, instantly he gets up, he gives me a hug. And it was just like, wow, like what a compassionate and empathetic person. Like to see what I was going through and then to give me the great advice. And I think one of the biggest pieces of advice was the skin to skin contact in the hospital. So literally I'm sitting there in the hospital, took my shirt off. It's a pretty common thing. I didn't realize.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like skin to skin with the mom is like an immediate thing that happens without going too down a rabbit hole here. That's an immediate thing that happens after the baby's born, but skin to skin with a dad happens, an hour or two later. So did that. And then also what he said is like, your why is going to change. He's like, you're already a very motivated person, but as soon as that little baby's born, everything's going to change for you. And it's true. It's absolutely true.
Has maybe your goals gotten more defined after, or is the reason you do it?
I feel like it's more of just like, it's not just for me anymore. It's now we have a family. So Yeah, I just feel like I just want to do more, and at the same time, I can't wait to share moments with my little girl, with Logan. I can't wait to like take her to her first baseball game, or take her to her first wrestling match, or take her fishing. Like all these little things that I just can't wait to be there when she's experiencing them for the first time.
Is that more stressful? Or is it more just like excitement?
I think it's excitement. I mean, there's certainly,
Yeah.
dude, Kia, there is a real stress knowing that like the well-being of another human being that is 50% me is, falling onto me and Rachel. Like, yeah, there's a huge stress on that.
Yeah.
Like the craziest thing is you're in the hospital, the baby's born, they do all the tests, make sure that the baby's healthy. And then, you spend some time there. We were there for about a day. And then it's like, all right, well, like, you can head home if you want now. And we're like, okay, well, we'll head home. Go into the car, put the baby in the car seat. And then we realize in that exact moment, we don't know how a car seat works. So we're sitting there and I'm literally watching a YouTube video like, oh, you pull this thing over here and this strap goes over here.
It just cuts to you like, forget this, you're holding the baby while driving.
I wish. Like, I didn't know anything about this,
Yeah.
but it's just crazy that like, the old phrase is like, babies don't come with an instruction manual, obviously, right? But after like, the baby is like breastfeeding and healthy and everything, they're just kind of like, well, anyway, we'll see you later. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And the first night when the baby goes to sleep and like stops making any noise because, they're sleeping, that's the moment where as a parent, you're like, is everything okay? Is everything all right? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So that's the new stress in my life.
Gotcha. What kind of dad do you see yourself being as she gets older?
I want to be the cool dad. But I feel like every dad says they want to be the cool dad and,
Until they get pissed off or
Right.
something.
I would like to be a patient and an understanding just person in general. But I think as a father, I'd love to be patient and understanding with, the good and the bad. And man, I think a lot about like all those good memories that I was just talking about, like the baseball game and fishing and all that stuff. But then I also think about like, ooh, what happens like when she gets her heart broken for the first time or something like that? And I'm like, oh, that's so difficult to think about. So I just want to be the best father that I can be, that I can be for her.
Here's a question I have, kind of fun. Would you ever, let's say she's in school and she's, this is all hypothetical. This is
boy, where
not
are we
saying
going?
anything. She is in the position where she might get expelled, but it's up to you to hold the "Do you know who I am" card to the principal.
Oh, those words will never come out of my mouth, ever. And also, like, you're a fellow creator. Like, the amount of weight that we hold as creators compared to like, actual famous people is like a tiny little drop in the bucket. Like, I think the only place where anyone would ever care about me, and then the weight of like, do you know who I am would still mean nothing because I would never say those words. But like, if I'm at a wrestling show, maybe some people might know who I am. And for you, like with fellow creators, people might know who you are. But like in the real world, outside of like YouTube and stuff,
I'd give you a big edge over me, bro.
have you seen your numbers? Come on.
Yeah, but
I don't know. How often do you get recognized?
A good amount,
See?
but it's not like it's younger kids.
And then people that don't recognize you, do you know who I am?
no. I mean, if something did ride on the fact of like me having to say that, I'd probably say it.
How about how often do you get recognized by one friend and the other friend is standing there going, what?
Oh,
Who
interesting.
is this guy? You haven't seen him, Kia? You haven't seen him? Oh my God, his stuff's hilarious. And the other person's going, I'm sorry, man. I don't know.
You know what's funny? I've seen that prior to them coming up, and then they both come up as fans.
I had a guy come up to me with my Wikipedia page pulled up. And he's like, I thought it was you. And then I looked, that's you, right? I'm like, yeah, that's me.
He's like, dude, it's crazy. I was just on Wikipedia and you were just the front page.
I just happened to type in Chris Van VL and then you showed up.
That's funny. Oh, man. All right, so on the topic of like, that's hilarious. Dude's just on Wikipedia walking the streets.
You know, everyone does that, right?
In Orange County, dude. It's not even LA.
Nobody even walks in LA. There's so many parts of this story that are completely untrue.
Right.
Completely implausible. Implausible.
Is it implausible? Unplausible sounds better.
Implausible.
Implausible.
Implausible. Yes.
That's why we're creators.
That's why
Yeah,
we create,
that's
we don't write. You know? Cool. So you have such a big resume of all types of things you've done, from the entertainment world, movie world, WWE, wrestling, everything. So I'm sure you've answered this before, but I want to know like one moment that you are like the most proud of that you remember.
That's a great question, man. And I think that I've been so fortunate to do what I've done my whole career too. My whole goal in my life was to have a job I didn't hate. Not to have a job I loved, to have a job I didn't hate. That was the goal. And I had this moment in college in my senior year where I had this epiphany where I was like, oh my God, when we graduate, I got to go to work for, you know, the rest of my life. And I made it my goal in that day to not hate my job and then do whatever I could to like line up a job that I was actually excited to go to. I remember the first day that I covered the Oscars and I got to step foot onto the most famous red carpet in the world on the biggest night in entertainment. And that was definitely one of those moments where I was like, okay, like this has been a really fun, cool ride, but my goodness, like I looked around, I remember like actually taking the moment in, and we so rarely, I think in life, actually sit there and like, what does this moment look like? What does it smell like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? I did that. And I kind of like stored that moment away in a little, you know, section of my brain. That was definitely one of those moments for me.
Oh, interesting. And did you know at that point that this is something you could do for the rest of your life, or it was possible to?
Dude, I don't even know if I can still do this for the rest of my life. And like, that's part of a whole completely different conversation of like how broadcasting has changed and how creating even right now is changing. Like what you and I are doing right now is changing and morphing so much that I don't know if we'll be able to still do it in the same way that we do in 5 or 10 years. But I think in that moment it was just like, I feel like this is exactly where I should be at this exact moment.
Wow. You remember sense, sights.
Yeah. I just feel like there's so few times in our life that we do that, where you actually like commit it to memory.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's so rare for us to actually be present and be in the moment. And I just knew like, this is a pretty cool moment and I want to try to take this in as much as I can.
Wow. And then from there, how did you start getting your start into everything?
Like for the rest of the day?
No, just like for the rest, I'll say your career up until now.
Yeah. It's been a combination of a little bit of luck, a ton of hard work, and a lot of perseverance. Like I've never really had an opportunity in my life just kind of handed to me. The very first job that I got was an internship at a tiny TV station, like an hour from where my parents lived. And the only reason I got that internship is because I lied to them and told them I was going to be in town. I was like, it's spring break next week. I'll be in town. I'd love to talk to you about an internship. And they're like, well, we don't really have an internship, but if you're going to be in town, sure, come on by. And I kind of talked my way into like getting that interview, and then kind of talked my way into them making an internship position for me. That turned into a job on TV. And it's just kind of been a lot of scenarios like that, where it's just like not right place, right time. Like it's putting yourself in the right place. And then as a result, it becomes the right time.
Because I've heard stories of creators in our world where they might have an opportunity presented to them somewhere that they're not even near, right? And they'll be like, oh, I'm there. I'm actually here right now.
I love those stories. And I do that all the time. Like the idea of like, oh, I would do an interview with you, but my schedule is super packed and I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And you're like, oh, no way. That's crazy. I'm actually going to be there next Wednesday. And they're like, oh, really? Oh, well, then talk to my assistant and we'll set it up. I love those stories.
Yeah.
Because I heard a quote years ago and it stuck with me for so long. It's, if you're willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do, you're going to get the results that other people aren't going to get. So it's the idea that if you're just sitting back and waiting for opportunities to come to you, you're never going to get as far as you could possibly get. And if you're sitting back waiting for opportunities to come to you, you're just like everybody else that's sitting around waiting for opportunities to come to them. If you're willing to go out of your way to create these opportunities, it changes everything.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've tried my best. I think that's the reason I decided to move to LA was like, if I want to be here, because I moved from like an hour and a half away. So not like terribly far, but
what an LA story. Right? Everyone's moving from like Nebraska and Illinois. And
right. No, I was
New
LA
York.
County. Yeah. I was already LA County.
Dude, you wouldn't believe it. I moved to LA. I moved 20 miles to move to LA.
It was probably like 20 miles, like an hour and a half.
Like everyone else is like, I haven't seen my family in 6 months. They're back in Wisconsin. I can't wait to see them at Thanksgiving. You're like, yeah, my family's an hour and a half away.
My mom's making dinner every night. Sometimes if I can make it, I'll make it.
What an LA story. But let me ask you this. This obviously works for you being adjacent to LA, growing up now, you're in LA. Isn't it interesting though, that with the type of content that you're making, you don't need to be in LA. You could really be anywhere.
It's a funny story because the other day I saw this house in Idaho and a massive house. It's got 3 warehouses. I was like, in my mind, first thing when I hear warehouse, I'm
is this the house that has like the moto? Did
you see this?
Yes.
The outdoor.
Oh my gosh.
Holy crap.
Should we buy this together?
Let's do it, bro. I looked at him like, I can only afford half. If I could ask Chris when he comes in. If he could,
I think we just made a deal. There we go.
Yeah, you saw that?
I saw on Instagram and it was basically saying like, it's like 3 million, 3.5 million, right? And the guy's like, check out this house in Idaho. I know it's 3.5 million, but stay with me here.
It's got 42 acres.
And then he starts going through this and it's like basically like Rob Dyrdek's like fantasy factory. Like it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
Like motorcycle ramps, go-karting.
Yes.
Golf course.
Is this thing still for sale? There's no way it's still for sale.
I think so. I mean, do you think it's going that quick? I mean, I guess TikTok is that powerful where someone will just...
Mr. Beast picked it up.
Yeah, like yeah.
Like 3 warehouses, like... I feel like we could live there and we wouldn't even know we live there. I'll be like, oh shit, I forgot you were here, bro.
Unbelievable. So, heading down that path, continuing down that path here, would you consider like going, everyone always talks about how money doesn't go that far in LA. Like the cost of living here is very expensive, and it's true. Would you think about being a creator in Idaho, Austin, Nashville, somewhere else where maybe for the same amount of money, you could do double the amount of things?
Yeah, I think if you would have asked me this last year, I would say no. I think I'm at the point now where I need people more than anything. And I don't think I need big time creators, quote unquote. Like I don't need someone that has 1 million or 10 million or anything. I make things happen with like just ideas I have.
Yeah.
So if I have people that are willing, I think that's the biggest thing, willingness to like want to do something.
Yeah.
As opposed to feeling like you have to.
You have a lot of performers, actors in your stuff. And look, there's no better place in the world to, there's actors literally everywhere in this city.
Right.
So you certainly have that at your disposal.
Yeah. I think in terms of like, if I want to build this podcast even more, like you said, Orange County is hard to get people there.
Yeah.
Imagine Idaho, right? I think.
And there's nothing like doing an interview in person. Nothing like doing it in person. I did a bunch over Zoom when, the world was shut down. It's just not the same.
Yeah, I agree. I think now if I had to, like, it depends what would come with it. If I could get a solid group of like 5 people, and we go to like Idaho and I build these warehouses into like studio sets and I have everything there at my disposal. And the reason I moved out, like it's only an hour and a half from my parents.
Yeah.
But even that hour and a half where they're at, people aren't willing to do what I wanted to do.
Of course. Yep.
And that really holds a toll on you. You're like, hey, just help me out. And it feels like it's a burden to them. Whereas here, it's a collaborative effort when people come.
Yeah, there's a real growth mindset in LA in general because for the most part, most people have moved here from somewhere, whether it's 20 miles away or it's 20 hours away or whatever, 20 states away. People have moved here with a purpose. And I feel like because of that, if you just hand them an opportunity of like, hey, do you want to be in one of my videos? That one video could change someone's life. And that may not happen if you lived in the Midwest or you lived in Idaho.
That's true. Yeah.
But look at what Mr. Beast has done.
That's the example I was thinking about.
Yeah.
I feel like he's just built something so big that I don't know what it was like early on for him with his friends.
Yeah.
But now it's at the point, I mean, they're making so much money. So it's like, obviously, like, I'd rather take that job with Mr. Beast than a normal job.
And for every Mr. Beast that there is, and you know, what Jimmy has created is just absolutely incredible. And he's out now at the point in his career where they can either bring people to him, fly people into him, or if there's a big event happening, like when he played rock, paper, scissors with The Rock. Do you see that?
Yeah.
He flew out here for that.
Right.
But for every story like that, there's, you know, a dozen vibe houses or collaboration houses, you know, up there in where the fancy people live up there.
Yeah.
And those all seem to work because it's a bunch of people with the same ideas getting together and working with each other and building each other's brands.
Funny enough, I don't think a lot of them ended up working out the way they looked like they were.
Really?
Like, I think the big one, obviously, the Wish House. I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
No.
A Wish, the app, like the...
Yeah.
It had a house, Dan Blazarian's old house.
Oh, wow.
Out here in Bel Air.
I got invited to do something there.
Yeah, so that used to be like a thing where creators only with this many followers, like they had
Yes.
these crazy thresholds. And eventually, like, it just died out and they had to sell the house because they were paying $250,000 a month. And you got to think about the return. There's really no return on inviting creators to come have Wish in the background. You know, like, it's not that big. And that died out.
That also just doesn't feel organic.
Yeah.
You know, sorry to cut you off.
No.
It doesn't feel organic where it's just like, we've got this house that's sponsored by this big company who wants to make videos.
Right,
It doesn't
right.
feel organic.
Not at all. And like, they'd be like, we require one story post. So that, again, it's also not very organic.
Yeah.
And then there was like actual content houses with creators, right?
Yeah, that's kind of more what I'm referring to.
And those, like, I went to a few when I first moved out here because I was like, this is the way I could network, like meet people. And you'd go over there and it's just like, it's not really networking. It kind of feels like a frat party more so. Like, I don't think I've ever been to a frat party, but like, if you asked me to explain to you what a frat party was, I kind of give you that. And like, they over time, the management started screwing them over.
Oh, wow.
They stopped like producing. And this is not just one, this is like most of the content houses. And now when you think content houses, is there even one still running? I can't even think of one that's still going on.
Oh, I don't know.
They all started to just slowly.
What about this content house right here?
This one right here.
Yeah.
This is the one. This one's been here since 2020, baby.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you could, so another example I could give you of something that did work out, that is working out, is Roman Atwood's old house in Ohio. Roman sold it to this guy I met, and he bought it, and now he brought some people in where he's managing and he takes a percentage of everything they make.
Huh.
And that one's actually like working out there. But in terms of like LA, I just think rent's so expensive here that there's no return.
I mean, just the barrier of entry here is whatever your rent is, $2,000-$3,000 a month, you know, depending on where you live, depending on if you're sharing it with one person or not, or more people. One of my buddies moved out here to pursue his dreams and goals and aspirations as an actor. He was living with 8 people in one room.
Wow,
8 people.
holy crap.
Yeah, they have bunk beds. So I think you've got the
How
barrier.
many?
There was
4 bunk beds.
yeah,
huh?
4 bunk beds, and they all had like a little curtain in front of it.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy, right? He's now evolved, upgraded to, he has a 2-bedroom apartment that he shares with, there's 4 of them in total. So each bedroom is cut in half.
Interesting.
But so the barrier of entry is like, you got to pay the rent here.
Right.
You probably have to have a car here unless you're like Armand and somehow get around on public transit in LA. But like, just like you have to make whatever it is just to cover your bases. And it's not easy.
I agree. Not to go too far off track, but I think Armand had a goal that was kind of funny to me. And he said he wanted to make it a month in LA paying $0 because he also lives at his parents, right? And he takes a bus, so he has the bus pass for free. And eat there, he's found like apps on like different restaurants where he could get free food. And his goal was to go $0 in the month. No expenses, nothing.
Frugal life.
Is that this current month?
I just try to live that like mentality a lot. Like I want to make a lot of money and spend none.
I mean, that's a pretty great goal.
I kind of screw him over because the first thing I do when he gets here is let's go eat, let's go do this, let's go that.
He's like, no.
But I've been trying to push my frugal lifestyle to him. I'm like, hey man, there's free food here, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
Free food? Oh, I love free food.
Oh, we found some hacks, dude. We'll tell you after the podcast.
Let's go get some.
It cuts to like these different locations. Armand's on a handheld camera. We just have one mic. I'm like, so dude, tell me about your like emotional. Oh, that's funny. All right, let's go back to Chris Van Vliet real quick. It's been an Armand situation. Armand sent me a video. Did you have something to say?
No, it's good. I was just laughing.
Something that Armand, not to put you on the spot, but he's been talking a lot about is your body transformation. And that's something that we could tell you put so much effort into. I mean, you look great, dude. I mean, you see your pictures, everything.
Thanks, man.
I want to know about that process, the transformation.
I think the biggest thing is it just comes down to discipline. Like, anyone can accomplish anything if they are willing to put their mind to it. And for me, I've always been into fitness. I've always, enjoyed working out. I've always eaten pretty well, except I got a real soft spot for pizza and chicken wings, like a real soft spot. If you have any spots where we can get some free pizza, please let me know.
I could tell you because this one's gone. I'll tell you after. Go ahead.
I've always been really inspired by people that have like bulked up for a movie role. Like think like Chris Hemsworth for Thor or Christian Bale for Batman. I've always been like Ryan Reynolds for Blade, like super shredded. Oh boy. I've always been really inspired by those transformation stories. And I was like, what if I were to commit to this for 90 days? I eat every meal perfectly according to what my nutritionist would tell me. I do every workout to the best of my ability according to the plan that I have from my coach. What would happen? And dude, it was amazing how quickly that transformation started to happen. And what you see in the before and what you see in the after is literally 90 days apart. And that was me wanting to get into the best shape of my life for my 40th birthday. Number one, it was like kind of a big milestone in my life. It was going to be my last birthday before I became a father, because my daughter was born like 10 days later. And it was also like 40 is a big milestone. And I think a lot of people, when they hit 40, they're like, well, it's all downhill from here. Like, I'm in my 40s now. And I wanted 40 to be like a new beginning. Like, dude, this is 40. This is what I look like. And I have no plans on going downhill from here. Like, I just want to keep being the best me that I can be.
Now, was this after this transformation? What was the process of retention? Like obviously, I'm assuming this 90 days was a little stricter than what you're at now. Or?
Oh, it's a lot stricter. Like, if I wanted to keep up with that plan that I was on, it's just really time consuming. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest thing is like you wake up and you immediately, after drinking like a quarter gallon of water, which I still do, by the way, there's a lot of things from this diet plan, this workout plan that I still do all the time. That's one of them. But like the first thing you do is you walk. So I would like immediately get up. You're like 5 minutes awake and you're walking on a treadmill for 25 to 30 minutes, depending on the week. So that's super time consuming. I was having 2 workouts 5 days a week and then 1 workout on one of the days. So it was 11 workouts a week.
Wow.
Between the cardio and the weights. So that's a ton of time, right? Mm-hmm. And like all my friends who have ever competed as a bodybuilder, they will tell you like, you just can't live a real life when every meal is out of like a Tupperware of like rice and ground turkey with a sprinkling of salt on it for flavoring. Mm-hmm. Like, you just can't live like that,
Yeah.
So I was very excited to like eat pizza when this was over. And there were a few cheat meals during the time, but like most of them were very strict meals, like eggs and egg whites, turkey breast, some ground beef. But at the end of the day, I say all of this, and it was 6 meals a day. I say all of this, but my meals probably cost a total of like $8-10 a day, maybe.
Wow.
So for anybody that uses the excuse of like, oh, I'd love to do that, but it's too expensive. Mm-hmm. It's not. That is a total excuse. Anybody could do this. Oh, I'd love to do that, but I don't have the time. It's funny. We make the time for the things that are important for us. So there really is no excuse. And that was the whole reason that I did it. I wanted to show people like this is possible.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I mean, it worked out. I can't see myself. Dude, I try to eat healthy for one meal and I'm hungry in like 30 minutes and then I'm like back at the fast food joint.
Well, you gotta kick the fast food out of your life.
I know. I've definitely been working on that. Like that's one thing. Like my girlfriend's also been trying to help me with, and it's been working. I haven't been to fast food as much. If we do fast food, I'll do like a tostada at El Pollo Loco. But I'm working on it. I don't cook at all.
So immediately after that, you got to like run to the toilet, don't you?
Oh, I probably live on the toilet, dude. I think sometimes I like wake up on the toilet. I don't even realize I'm on it.
I saw some nice stains in that toilet. It was good.
That's my roommate. He's worse.
Oh, okay.
You should see mine.
Right. One of the other things I have that kind of carried with me from that nutrition plan that I was on is I now travel with food quite a bit. Like I knew I was going to spend the day in LA today. So I brought like rice and ground turkey. Delicious.
Oh,
that's what I'll be eating on my way home.
So, okay. So here's what's funny. Let's say you're going from here to like San Francisco, 6-hour drive,
Sure.
right? In your mind, you're like, I got to figure out food, right?
Yeah.
In my mind, I kid you not, dude. In my mind, I'm mapping out bathrooms on the way. I'm dead serious.
You need a catheter or something.
I'm like, all right, there's this rest area here. I think I can make it to this place. I need a diaper. That's funny. Different world.
You guys need electric stops too. Tesla
we
stops.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, which one do you have?
S.
Oh man, I got the 3.
I mean, hey, Tesla's a Tesla.
I mean, they're
Mine's
pretty
also
great.
half pink, half blue.
I got to see this thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
The cotton candy.
I feel like I should introduce you to my nutrition coach. He's the best, like literally the best. Like he works with some of the top WWE superstars. He works with a lot of UFC guys. He works with bodybuilders. He's the best. His name's AJ Sims. I feel like I should connect him with you. You'd be shocked if you were willing to like stick with it and actually do the process. It's not difficult. It'd be like you teaching someone to be a creator. It's just like, oh yeah, do step 1. And then after step 1, do step 2, then step 3, then step 4, and that's it.
I guess if they're willing to learn, it's yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is just like, are you willing to like scoop the food and put it into your mouth and then chew it and swallow it?
FaceTime you at like 3 a.m. I'm like,
Dude, I can't do it.
Which hand does the fork go in? Oh man. Yeah, no, I'd love to.
Like it was literally a blueprint of like, on Mondays, you will do these things at the gym and your meals will look like this. They should be timed out like this. It's like, oh, like even an idiot could do this. You're like, well,
prove
that
him
sounds like
wrong.
me.
Cool. Yeah, no, if I do get to that body, I will tattoo your face on my stomach.
CV.
We got it right here.
You said it on a live podcast.
Oh, I'll make it happen. All right, cool. Let's. I want to get more into like. I'm not huge on WWE, but I'm curious on certain things when
Sure.
it comes to it.
Yeah.
I think one thing that really caught my attention, not only in like WWE, but all forms of wrestling similar to that, are the little things that the fans don't see, like razor blades to the head or this or that. And I had this friend who he was involved a bit, and he told me one time he cut like a little too deep in his forehead and it just messed him up. And that's scary to me, but that's also very curious. I'm very curious about that.
I can't say that I have ever cut my head with a razor blade, but it is a real thing. So in wrestling, they call it getting some color. And it's a real thing where like there would be a spot in a match, a pre-planned moment in a match where I would hit you with a chair or I'd, throw you into the ring post or something that would legitimately look like it could, bust you open. That's another terminology. And then either the referee or your opponent hands you a razor blade.
Really?
And you've got 10, 15 seconds while the camera is being distracted by, the guy posing or something to like just a little nick in your forehead right near your hairline there. And also like, I didn't realize this till my buddy Maven, who's a pro wrestler and also YouTuber now, he was telling me a lot of guys will take aspirin to thin their blood out. So you nick your head and then you're bleeding like crazy just to add to the element of like, ooh, wow, this guy's bleeding and he's still fighting through it. This is crazy. And then there's also moments in wrestling matches where someone gets color the hard way. They call it, like, legitimately. Like,
What's the hard way?
you know, like you legitimately bust your head open. Yeah, and like you're legitimately bleeding.
Unexpectedly?
Yeah, not from a razor blade to the head. Yeah.
Oh, have you been in person when like you've seen this? And
I've
it's
never actually, I don't think I've ever seen someone actually blading is what it's called. I'm certainly aware of it. But what I will say about pro wrestling just in general is this is live. This is one take. And there's however many cameras there are there, 6 or 10 cameras or more. And they're all capturing everything from different angles. So not only does it need to be perfect for the audience that's watching this live in the arena, but then it also needs to be perfect from whatever camera angle they choose when you're watching this at home. And again, there's only one take for this.
Yeah.
So I have such a huge respect for the men and women who do this for a living. And, you know, they're putting their bodies on the line every single night.
Yeah, I can't imagine. That's, dude, just having to be in that. I guess when the adrenaline's there and like you feel like you have to, but then just like the aftermath of just cutting yourself.
I think there's something about like the natural high of being in front of 15,000 people in an arena that I think you're just like, yeah, this is part of the show, you know?
Are they aware of like where cameras are when they're doing it? Is this all?
Yes. And I also think the best competitors are like even more so aware of like, oh, if I, you know, do this little look to this camera, I don't know why I pretended there was a camera over there.
What if there was? It's just been waiting for that look this whole time.
The best people know where the cameras are. That's basically what I just did. But yeah, I think that the best performers are really good at knowing where their, you know, the camera is and like doing something to that, you know, that camera and knowing that camera is going to take them like that.
Nice.
See? That's so good.
That was really good. The half-second delay.
And then you look at this camera and it gets you. And then you're like, wait, what about this camera though?
Oh man.
Oh, wow. That's so dumb. Great job, by the way.
On that topic, I think this is coming from a not really WWE like enthusiast.
Yeah.
The thing I've always wondered is, how do they decide on world champions? Is it based on who sells the most tickets, who gets the most attention? Because it's kind of like it's unknown to me.
I would liken this to like a television show that you would watch on HBO or Netflix or Hulu or whatever. The storyline dictates what happens. So like what makes the most sense for this character in this moment? Like how many times are you watching a TV show and you're like, I can't believe they killed off so-and-so. And then you realize as the story goes on, oh, wow, that actually led to this character arc for this person. That happens a lot in pro wrestling. But what can also happen in pro wrestling is a character can get hot. So like maybe they start to give this one person this certain storyline and the crowd really catches on to it. And they go, oh, wow, we've got some like lightning in a bottle happening here. Look at all the merch sales we're getting from that. And look at all the applause this person gets when their music hits. That can sometimes lead to someone getting over, as they call it in wrestling. When you're popular, you're over with the audience. But it's just a storyline. It is a television show that just happens to take place live in front of everybody each and every week.
And is a lot of it, like you mentioned, TV show, right? Like, let's say someone doesn't get that attention and start going selling like crazy, whatever. Is a lot of it predetermined when they're first brought up? Like they know what this guy's story path is going to be? Absolutely.
And I think that sometimes that can go one way or the other. The crowd can really be into them, and that, you know, and they end up putting a rocket on the person's back and they become a massive star. Or they bring this person in with great high hopes and the audience just isn't feeling it. And they try again the next week and the audience just isn't feeling it. And sometimes we see it a lot of times as fans where it's just like, well, that's not going to work anymore, because what's the point in having this person come out every week and the audience just isn't reacting to it. The biggest thing about pro wrestling is whether you love someone or you hate someone, whether you're cheering for them or you're booing for them, you're feeling something. The worst thing that can happen in pro wrestling is nothing. Like your music hits, you come out, and the crowd's just kind of like, yeah, I don't really care. That's the place you don't want to be.
Interesting. Now, do the wrestlers, are they kind of, I wouldn't say told what's going to happen in the next one, do they kind of know themselves what their destiny holds?
I think sometimes they are told like, okay, so we're going to have you in a program with this person right now. That's going to lead to this other thing in 2 months from now, hoping that nobody gets injured or anything like that. But then I think there's other moments where like they go, hey, it's you and you tonight, and you're gonna win. And they're like, oh, really? I had no idea. And then that could end up turning into something. I'd say the one really unique thing about pro wrestling is things can change on the fly. That doesn't really happen on a TV show.
Right.
And the things sometimes have to change on the fly. Someone gets injured, someone's flight gets delayed or canceled, and they can't be there. So I think that they just got to be able to figure out a way to, boom, change on the fly.
Interesting. And the thing with me, like I don't think I've watched a single WWE, what would you call it, show.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Until Logan Paul got into it. And like, I want to know your thoughts on how big that is for the sport. If that's something you're like in support of, where it is, how it's seen in the culture.
That's so interesting that you're saying like I'd never watched until Logan Paul came in. I think that's exactly what the WWE was going for. They were trying to either get those fringe fans who were maybe lapsed, like, oh, I used to watch a few years ago, but haven't watched in a while. Or they're trying to get people who are like, yeah, I'm not really a WWE fan, but I'm interested in seeing what Logan Paul does. I think that he is just crushing it. And Triple H said that Logan Paul has no business being as good as he is. And it's true. Man, that guy is doing things in the ring that like it would take most people years to figure out. Just like the nuance of some of the things that he does and like his facials and the way that he like looks at the camera. That's what I meant by that. And like other things like the athleticism that he has. It's so good. And it's like he's operating in there like he's a veteran, and he's only had like 7 matches, I think.
Yeah, I was watching it. I was like, holy crap. Like the stuff he's doing is very like the average person I can't see jumping off this, doing what he's, I'm like, wow. I mean, it's impressive,
And there's a lot of people that don't like him. And that kind of leans into like what he's doing with his character. Like his character is a heel, which is a bad guy in pro wrestling. And he's really leaning into the fact like, look at me. I'm better than you. I have more money than you. I'm look how hot my fiance is. Like he's leaning into like, I'm giving you all the reasons to not like me. And then when he, comes out, they boo him now, which means he's over with the crowd.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Cause I asked, one of my friends, Brian Valoria, who's big in the boxing world, I asked him how he felt about like Jake Paul. And he said, as long as there's respect for the sport with these guys coming in and like they're genuinely doing it out of love for the sport, then they're all for it, as opposed to the people that really aren't in the space.
Yes.
That kind of react as to like, why is he coming into sports? He's a YouTuber. But it turns out the people that are genuinely involved in the sport, like you're saying now, they're more for it as opposed to like what not fans think,
Logan Paul is certainly bringing a lot of eyeballs to the WWE and a lot of eyeballs to pro wrestling in general. But I got to give him so much credit. He is putting in the work. And there has been a long list of celebrities who have come into pro wrestling, and it's been very clear that they haven't put in the work. Like there's this famous clip of Jeremy Pivens calling SummerSlam, which is an event that's been going on for decades. He calls it the Summerfest. And it's just like, as a wrestling fan, you're like, oh, like, come on. But it's so very clear that Logan Paul has put in the work to be the best competitor that he can be. And because he's put in the work, whether you love him or you hate him or you cheer him or you boo him, you have to respect what he's doing. And I think his brother, Jake Paul, in the boxing world, he's bringing more eyes to boxing than anybody in recent years. Mm-hmm. And again, whether you love Jake Paul or you hate Jake Paul, you're tuning into the fights.
You're watching them,
either to see him win or to see him get knocked out.
Right. That's true. Where do you see Logan's career going?
I think he's in WWE for a few more years, but I really think that guy is so smart. Both of them, Logan and Jake, are so smart. They are such brilliant marketers. What Logan's done with KSI and Prime, and the fact that it's huge now, right? Mm-hmm. In a relatively short period of time. I feel like, to answer the question of what do I see for him, I think Prime gets sold for several $billions, which makes him extremely wealthy. And then I think that he just keeps creating. Like he's been so good at YouTube. He's been so good with his podcast. He's been so good in WWE. I don't know if he's been so good in boxing, but he did go the distance with Floyd Mayweather.
Right.
Those his official record's, I think, 0-1.
Which I think he claims it's 1 in.
He's like, well, I beat Floyd. It's like, no, it was an exhibition match. Nobody won. And also what he's done, I love that you gave this to me.
Where'd you get that
did we
from?
know this was going to be a prop?
Oh, now it is.
But what he's done with marketing,
Yeah.
like I feel like everything he's put his mind to, he's crushing it. And like, it's just very clear that dude knows how to work hard.
Yeah, I think it's funny enough too that me not being a fan before, and then I see him get into it and then release an action figure of his WWE character.
Yeah.
I was on the website trying to buy it.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like this could be a collector's piece.
You are the exact person they were trying to get.
Yeah, and they got me.
They got you. Are there any other WWE people that you've seen now that you're like, oh, now that I'm watching?
You know what's funny? I saw he sent me. You did a podcast with these two guys, Santi and
Oh yeah.
sorry, I don't want to mess up the other dude's name, but it's funny because I used to watch them on TikTok, not knowing anything about wrestling.
Wow.
It was just something about they do
It's
like
Santi and Steve. Yeah.
Santi and Steve, right? Okay, so they used to do like series of like guess the wrestler, this
Yes.
that, and I knew nothing about anything, and it was just interesting to me to be like. He's like, guess this guy. And like, I was trying to slowly start learning, not knowing anything. I was like, okay, now I know this guy.
That's funny.
And obviously I'd heard names, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, like these
Yeah.
are names that I had heard of. And then I started to hear like The Undertaker, and like these guys that I'd never heard of before, and like slowly get into it. And then that's when Logan Paul really came out. And I was like, damn. So it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know why it was interesting to me, but something about it was. Something about the
Wow.
aspect of people like knowing it's a show.
Yep.
But still being so interested in it.
I'm guessing you've never been to a live show before.
No, and that's what really drew my attention. I was like,
Maybe I take you. It's in Ontario, California, and
that's where I'm from, right there, Claremont, right
so
above
it's in Ontario a week from Monday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Raw's live there.
Interesting.
There is nothing like seeing a live pro wrestling show because there's everything that's going on in the ring and the matches are amazing, but it's the fireworks and the pyro and it's the music and it's the crowd and the chants. It's just this entire experience, and you're there and you're part of it and you are creating the experience.
Yeah. Did you see the video of that little kid coming out of the school bus?
Yeah, that Row. Yes, I know who that is. Yeah,
I just thought that was great.
Yeah, it's so
I knew
good.
nothing. It was the Undertaker. Is that what he was doing, or what was he?
He did. That was Stone Cold Steve Austin
That's
with
what it
the
was.
he was drinking the milk like Stone Cold drinks the beer. Then there was he did one with the Undertaker. He did one with Hulk Hogan. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
He walks into Hulk Hogan has a beach shop in Clearwater, Florida,
Mm-hmm.
where he sells like memorabilia. And he does like autograph signings there pretty frequently. And he walks in, he's like, "Let me tell you something, brother," which is Hulk Hogan's catchphrase. And Hulk Hogan's like, "Let me tell you something, dude." And like the two of them are like going back and forth, and it's just so good.
That's funny. Yeah, see stuff like that. Like it's interesting. I'm slowly. I guess I'm getting my feet wet into it. It's like,
Wow.
it sounds,
If you go to a show,
Yeah.
you may dive all the way in.
I might be there with a razor blade myself as a fan. Like, yeah, the fans don't do it. Hold on, dude.
Whoa,
Cutting
easy.
my face.
Tia, stop it.
We leave
Your neighbors
Florida.
must hate you, by the way. Here I am just yelling.
He's learned. He's learned.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
He was stomping away up there.
Oh man, you should. It was bad when we first like moved in here.
Mm.
There was a video. It's funny because sometimes he'd like stomp when he was mad.
Oh.
And there's a video where like one roommate gets on the other one's shoulders with the legs straight up, and they do it right back.
Oh, man.
So we were like, maybe, but I don't want to like. But it was hilarious. I was like, that's funny. Cool. I want to talk about fishing.
Sure.
I want to move into fishing. I think because I didn't know you were so big on fishing, and funny enough, I was looking at your Wikipedia page,
Yeah.
and it said something about 2013 fishing something champion. I don't know what
I don't know why that's like the one highlight that made it to my Wikipedia. So I fish in tournaments. I don't do it as often now, but I did fish in a lot of tournaments for many, many years. I started fishing in bass tournaments when I was 14. So the way this works is it's your 5 biggest bass. You weigh them in at the end of the day. And if it's a 1-day tournament, the biggest weight at the end of the day wins. If it's a 2-day tournament, it's a culmination of your day 1 weight plus your day 2 weight, and then you win. So I fished at a lot of these tournaments, and I was living in Cleveland at the time. Lake Erie's right there. Without sounding too nerdy, it is one of the best smallmouth bass fisheries in the world. So it was right there at my doorstep. I would fish there all the time. So I fished in a few big bass tournaments there. And I had the big fish of the day in one of the tournaments. It wasn't even the big fish of the tournament. It was a 3-day tournament. I had big fish on day 2.
Is that what that award was?
Yeah, I didn't get an award. It was just like I held it up and they went, hey, big fish of the day. Let's see if it can hold on to be big fish of the tournament. And it didn't. I don't know why somehow that became a thing. It was so weird. But it was a gigantic smallmouth bass. The biggest one I've ever caught in my life. It was 6 pounds. I can't even remember how big it was. 6 pounds, 10 ounces, I think.
It's fairly big.
It's
right?
a big smallmouth bass. Very big smallmouth bass.
So I went fishing. I had gone fishing before. Like we did ice fishing in Alaska. I didn't catch anything.
That sounds cold.
Oh, they have like a little shack built just
cool.
for it. And then they put like
the holes,
and then they got a furnace that I was sitting next to the
Oh,
whole
good,
time.
good.
I didn't catch anything. But then I went to Indiana because that's where my girlfriend's from. And we went fishing in her dad's pond. And dude, it was probably the most fun I've had. So there were bass. We throw the bass back in, but we kept the bluegill.
Oh, cool.
And I cut the bluegill. It was more like me trying to like show her dad that I can do it. Yeah. But it was like the grossest thing.
You were filleting them?
I was like, yeah, fillet.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't like kill the fish. So it was like on my hand the whole time. And I'm like, and he walk over. I'm like, yep, got it. One flops into like a bush and like the cat and the dog are smelling for it. And like he walks over and I have to like make it look like my hands are full and like I can't reach because I didn't want to just go into this bush and get a live fish. But honestly, like fishing there was like so much fun. And like I think I got a passion for it from that.
They always say that like fishing's not as fun, but catching is a lot of fun.
I agree.
And this sounds like exactly what happened when you were in Alaska.
Versus
Fishing, but what you did in Indiana, fun.
Exactly, yeah,
When
yeah.
you're catching them, honestly, I don't think there's anything better.
Yeah.
There are so few moments in our life where we truly disconnect, where we're truly present in the moment. And it's actually ironic that podcasting is one of them. Because if all 3 of us were out for wings or pizza right now, you'd probably look at your phone when it buzzed and, oh, let me show you this video. Like you'd be taking out of the moment, right? Or even just your phone buzzing in your pocket, I think can take you out of the moment. Fishing's another one of those moments where it's like, you need to be there present because when the fish bites, you've got like half a second to set the hook and start to reel them in. And I love that because it doesn't exist so much in our world anymore. And that's why I think there's such a focus now on like meditation and just being still and like breathing. And like so many people talk about like just meditating for 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. And that's the idea of like just unplugging yourself from the constant need to reply to people or the constant need to like always be available. That's one of the things I really love about fishing.
What's the best place in your head that you fished at? Like you'd be like, oh, that was great.
I think it probably was Lake Erie. One of the best smallmouth bass fisheries in the world.
Are you sponsored? What's going on?
I don't know. Yeah. Visit Lake Erie.
Because you do have he was showing me, you have a brand where you sell fishing products.
We sell fishing weights. We sell tungsten fishing weights. It's called Woo Tungsten.
Oh.
WOO exclamation mark tungsten. But I think it's Lake Erie and it was a very specific style of fishing called drop shotting. And oh, you would love this. If we're ever in Ohio together, I'll take you out.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Or I guess it's Ontario, Canada as well, which is where I'm from. You go out and you can see the fish on the sonar, on the fish finder. You see the little thing.
Really?
Yeah.
You could see the fish?
Well, you see like a little blip that you're like, oh, that's a fish, because you know how to read the graph. And then you can drop your weight directly down, and then you sit there and you're literally dropping the weight on the fish. It's almost like video game fishing. And the pros who do this for a living, they're so good at it. I'm like a 1 out of 10 good at this. But like the idea that you see a fish, you're like, oh my gosh, it's right down here. I'll drop my thing right down, and you can see the fish come over and like eat your bait.
I did not know you could track fish like that.
It's a pretty cool thing. So fishing has changed, and like technology has changed fishing so much. And this is probably so boring for anybody who's never fished before. Right. I'm so sorry, but technology's really changed fishing. Like it used to be like you would look at a map, a topographical map, and be like, oh, this point, off this island looks really good. And then you would get out there and you'd like, okay, if I line up this tree and this boathouse, I'm probably at the point. Now you're like looking at the graph. You can literally see where the drop off is. You can see the fish sitting there. You can see the bait that they're eating. Oh, it's changed everything.
Wow. Are you a big sushi fan?
I don't really eat a lot of sushi. And it's not because I love fish. It's just, I don't know.
I guess that's what I was wondering.
Although the sushi out here is pretty great.
Yeah.
I heard someone say something, and I will never forget it. They said the West Coast beats the East Coast in these 3 categories every single time. And it's weather, sushi, and the start time of sports. I'm like, that's so true. I was on the East Coast this past weekend, and Monday Night Football starts at 8:15. Oh. You're like going to bed at like midnight when the game's over. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think about that. That's true.
Yeah, here it's like game's over at 8:15.
That's true, because like a lot of NBA games also out here start at like 7:30.
Yeah.
Like, damn,
those are too late. Well, not, you know what I mean? I mean like it's better when you're watching Sunday Night Football at 5 rather than 8 p.m.
That's true, because also you're more likely to have people over for football than basketball, right? I think that's a more.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's true. I didn't think about that. That's good.
Come on, unless it's playoffs.
That's true.
I'll come over for the playoffs.
Yeah. No, I'm just used to watching by myself.
Yeah, we're just watching ourselves
right?
here. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wanted to end on asking you about your full-time creator program you're working on, because I don't think you've really talked much about that yet, if that's something you...
Yeah, we're launching it next week, and thank you for asking. And you will relate to this in such a big way. Mm-hmm. People probably reach out to you all the time being like, can I pick your brain? Where do I start? I want to do this. I hate my job. How can I create for a living? Mm-hmm. And I don't really think there's a blueprint out there from people who have actually done it. And I've been fortunate myself to be a full-time creator since 2019, but I'd say part-time creator. And by that, I mean like earning money from any of the different apps since 2011. So it's me and my buddy Travis, who's just been absolutely crushing it, both as an entrepreneur and a creator. And we're coming together and we're building out a mastermind where you can learn all of the stuff that we did right, and more importantly, all of the stuff that we did wrong. And I think the really big part about what we're building out with Full-Time Creator is so often you feel like you're creating in a vacuum. Mm-hmm. Like, look at us. I mean, 3 of us sitting here, 3 cameras, that's it. Like, it's so easy to forget that on the other side of these cameras are other people that are consuming this and learning from this. And sometimes when you're creating, especially when you're starting out and the views aren't there, you can really feel like you're alone. Mm-hmm. And we're building out a community of people who are all in this together, all trying to do the same type of thing. So it launches next week at fulltimecreator.co, where you can learn from me and Travis directly. And we're also going to bring in creators once a month who are just absolutely crushing it, whether it's TikTok or it's YouTube or it's a podcast or whatever it happens to be. They're going to dump all their knowledge out, and then you're going to be able to ask them questions. You'd actually be great on this. We would love to have you. We'd love to have you come in as one of our guests one time.
Yeah, let me know.
Oh, this would be great.
No, I mean,
what are your total numbers? Because they're astonishing.
Total numbers.
Just did a media kit recently too.
Oh, this is great.
Oh, dude, the views parts are insane.
Let's see.
Are you
2 billion on YouTube?
2
almost?
billion.
1.9992 something close.
Dude, in how many years?
December 2021 is when I started
insane.
pushing shorts.
2.5 billion views across everything, 5 million total followers across everything, 10 million monthly average views. You got 40 million views every month on YouTube.
10 million monthly average views. You've got to have like hundreds of millions of
I think
monthly
TikTok,
views.
I think Instagram brought it all down.
Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, they
Yeah, we
it down
got-
a little bit, yeah.
If it's just YouTube, it's like
Yeah, what are your monthly YouTube views?
40, 50.
That's right around where I am too. I just don't have the... Jeez.
Yeah.
It's real nice back there.
Can't see it. Let me bring it in.
Wow.
Let's see.
I don't know if I want to.
Oh yeah, you gotta wait.
I don't know if I want to touch it.
I won't even let you touch it. How about that?
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like with athletes, they won't touch the Stanley Cup until they win it. They won't touch the Lombardi Trophy.
Wasn't that a thing with
Till they win
Salt Bay forcefully grabbing like Messi's World Cup cup and all he's like trying to touch it and kiss it.
Yeah.
And like all the players were kind of like whatever, but he was still doing it.
Ooh.
And the comments were going off on him. They're like, you're not supposed to, that's for family and winners only,
I think that's like a thing, right? Where you don't tell people your plans because you get that little dopamine hit and then you feel satisfied already. So you got to like stay quiet and move in silence.
Yeah. I think it's just you don't want to jinx it. I think a lot of athletes are like, well, if I touch the Stanley Cup now,
this might be the only one I touch.
right, I want it to it doesn't mean as much when it's not my Stanley Cup, but when I win it one day and I'm hoisting it over my head, that'll mean something. So I think it's more of that.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Boy, we got real deep there.
Yeah, right.
The Stanley Cup holds an energy, and I don't want to hold its energy until I deserve. I don't know.
What if you're just like to that at like an extreme level? I'm like, yo, you wanna try this bag of chips? You're like, not until I buy it myself. I'm not gonna touch that.
I haven't earned it yet.
I'm like, dude, it's a bag of Doritos down the street.
I like how your mind works. You're always like, could this be a comedy bit? Let me say it out loud. No, that wasn't that good. But anyway.
No, it's literally how my mind works.
I love it. It's brilliant.
Anything I push to the max.
How many pieces of content a month would you say you're doing? All in total, between shorts, these long form videos like this, any graphics you put out, total a month.
Gary Vee stuff right here.
Dang, a lot, huh? Because I'm trying to post one new video a day.
Okay.
But on top of that, we have thumbnails, we have long forms, we have
Live stream.
Snapchats, Facebook,
brand deals.
Just trying, and then dude, so 30 for YouTube for shorts, and then probably 10 thumbnails just because we're switching so many thumbnails around sometimes, and I'm trying to rebuild some. And
Ooh, dive into that a little bit. I don't know why I'm interviewing you now.
yeah, right.
No, but I think that anybody that's watching this right now that wants to be a full-time creator, cheap plug there. Yeah. I don't think they realize how important thumbnails are. You'll hear stories about Mr. Beast spending thousands of dollars on creating the exact perfect thumbnail that'll be the difference between him getting 30 million views or 50 million views.
Yeah.
So you talking about we switched our thumbnail 10 times. For most creators hearing that, they're going, that sounds like the last time I made 10 thumbnails was for 10 different videos.
Yeah. So we haven't done it more so for a video that's already been out, where we are really workshopping before we even get the first thumbnail out. And then on top of that, with this live stream, for example, we have a thumbnail done before the fact. So it's it shows we're live with an unknown guest pretty much. Yeah. And then we clip it and when we post it. So this itself is 2 thumbnails.
Yeah.
And then I was getting really picky as to, I don't want the same unknown thumbnail for each live. Yeah, yeah. So then I messaged him, I'm like, let's make 5 new ones for the next 5 weeks. Then I'll come again. And I want everything I put out to visually just look really appealing. Yes. And the hardest thing has been you need a battery?
Yeah.
Oh.
Is that one?
This is a battery.
Yep, that's a battery. Okay. Start making Chris work.
Batteries in it?
Yeah, no. So basically it's how many would you say we get? We probably get one video for a long form. I'll get the original thumbnail. And I think pretty much 100% of the time, it's not the one we go with.
It's so funny. And I feel like, I'm sure you do this as well. I feel like I need to duck over in your camera here. Putting the thumbnail up on a big screen and then walking away, or putting it up on your computer monitor and kind of walking away, or putting it on your phone and scrolling through, does it catch your eye? And that's been a test that I've done quite a bit. Because if it's on so many people are watching YouTube on their TV now, right?
Right.
So if it's on your recommended page, if it's on your homepage of YouTube and it doesn't catch your eye immediately, if it's not the one thumbnail out of the 10 that are on the screen that catches your eye, I think it's back to the drawing board.
Interesting. Yeah. And you did mention people like Mr. Beast making multiple thumbnails that are what he wants and
Yep.
switching it after the video.
Yeah, he'll split test them. He actually put a tweet out recently where he was like, we split tested these thumbnails where my mouth was open or my mouth was closed. So he's either like, or, and he was like, I was shocked that the mouth closed ones actually did better.
And Armand was showing me he went back and changed his old videos to his mouth closed. I was like, yeah, I mean,
That guy's operating on a whole other level.
yeah. And I think even if we could just start to like get a glimpse of that and start like incorporating little pieces, it could really make a difference.
Yeah.
And like people watching might not understand at times why they click. And like Mr.
sure.
Beast might not understand at times why people click, but just testing so many things out that we could incorporate, it works. And the thing we've like realized, it's like, every piece of the thumbnail has to be good. If all of it's good and there's a little missing piece, it could throw the whole thing off. And like, that's like, it comes down to colors. It comes down, like now we're changing the color of the shirt I'm wearing and stuff too. It's just like little things, you know?
Someone told me such a great piece of advice for thumbnails, and it's changed the way I've thought about them ever since. They said that people read thumbnails from left to right the way that they read a book. So the most important thing should be on the left. The thing that draws your eye first should be on the left because you're, typically speaking, going to read it left to right.
I didn't think about that. That's
But it makes
Wow, that's why Mr. Beast is always on
Mr.
the
Beast
left.
is always on the left, and you, right, and you look at his face and you go, oh, wow, he's shocked. Oh, that's why he's shocked. He's scared. Oh, that's why he's scared.
interesting.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that Mr. Beast has been doing too is now his thumbnails, although they are important to him, now he's also more focused on the first 3 seconds because that's what people are seeing in the preview on YouTube. Because it's like he mentioned that his video is for the most part first on the feed when he posts it.
Yep.
So people will have less chance to see the thumbnail as opposed to seeing.
That's a
the
great
start.
point. And this isn't just a YouTube thing, by the way. Like Netflix will change the image for the show or the movie when you're scrolling through their homepage to show you a different actor.
Really?
You haven't noticed this?
No, I don't really watch Netflix.
So if you go to the Netflix home screen and you see some movie or some TV show and you don't click on it, the next time you go in, there's a chance they'll show you that same movie or TV show with a different actor. Wow. And then they'll show you a different actor and a different actor.
You like this guy? No, you don't. You like this one? You like this person?
And there was one where it was like, I think it was like, I can't remember what movie it was, but like the person was in the movie for like 4 minutes. And I'm like, wait a second, you can't advertise that movie with that person. Like, come on.
You know what would be
I had that happen with Pacino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh yeah, that is not a person you think about when you think of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
You know, it'd be funny if like Netflix is really trying to push a movie, and they'll have like a scene where like they're watching a Rocky movie in the movie, and like you're like, oh no, I don't care about this. When you go to the next movie, the movie's the same movie, but it has a picture of Rocky. What the? I guess I'll watch it. It's at the end in the credits. This guy's watching Rocky.
I think one of them was like they showed the other guys with The Rock, and I'm like, oh, the Rock is in the other guys, but the other guys is not a Rock movie. Like, it's just a bait and switch right
I
there.
had a crazy one the other day with my friend who's really into comedy and stuff, loves comedic actors and stuff. And the movie Collateral for him had Jamie Foxx, and for me it had Tom Cruise.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I did not know this is what Netflix is like.
So
too.
Netflix is split testing these thumbnails or art or whatever you want to call them all the time.
Wow,
Yeah.
this world's changing. Everything's connected more than I thought.
Simulation. That's what this is.
I think that's a good place to
The
wrap
Matrix
it up.
with, I wish I could just come up with a unknown actor off the top of my head that's in The Matrix.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Obviously Keanu.
Obviously, yeah. Lawrence
Morpheus.
Fishburne, obviously. Yeah. But like, if it was like The Matrix with like the person that has like 3 lines.
The white guy with the white suit. I forgot his name.
Yeah,
He was
that
like
guy,
playing
exactly.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, make that a series too. That's funny.
Oh, have you seen The Dark Knight with William Fichtner? He's
You interviewed him.
yeah, he's the
That
bank
was so
manager at
cool.
the start. But it's like, oh, yeah, he's in the movie for like, 2 minutes.
You and your friends are dead.
Ah, so good.
Right? It's
I liked
such
your
a
comment.
memorable line.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
What a tangent.
Yeah, right.
It literally is no script here,
It
ladies
should
and
have ended
gentlemen.
like 20 minutes ago. Well, I mean, if that's it, Thank you for coming, man.
Dude, thank you. And I can't wait to go check out that house we just bought in
We did buy
Idaho.
that, right, Armand?
Yeah, we already shook on it.
Down.
So.
Wait, kid, before you go.
Yes.
What are 3 things you're grateful for in life?
Wow.
Ooh. Chris taking out of his time to come here today. I'm very grateful. I'm talking today. I'm grateful for that. I am grateful to have such a loving family, a girlfriend that cares for me. Honestly, the thing I'll go back to also that I'm really grateful for is being able to visit my family weekly.
Yeah.
Is something that I really put as a focus of mine.
Yeah.
Every Sunday, regardless of what I have going on, I'm
Yeah.
going to go see them.
Love that.
So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I am able to do that. Yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest things. I didn't want to get caught up and lose that time
Yeah.
being in LA because a lot of things move so quickly being out here that's one thing I really focused on.
Yeah. That's great. Those
Yeah.
are 3 great things. I end every episode with that. So thanks for throwing that in.
Well, if you guys enjoyed, make sure you guys subscribe, hit the like button, turn on the post notification bells. I really appreciate Chris taking out of his day to
Dude,
come
thank
here.
you.
Thank you
This
again.
was great, man.
Yes, sir. If you guys enjoyed Chris, go check out his course next week when it drops. Everything will be linked in the description.
Subscribe to me, please.
Subscribe to @Chris Van Vliet. We'll have him linked. I think he's also linked in the
If
title.
all your people were to subscribe to me,
You know,
boy, that looks
He
good.
might. That right there.
Also, if everybody that watched a video were to just click like, my goodness.
Oh, man.
People treat likes and subscribes like they only have a certain amount of them to give out every day. Like, ooh, I don't know if I want to give that one out. Guys, you have an unlimited amount every single day to just give out to people. Please, be generous.
Give us some.
Be generous.
Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next week.